Let's get INEC to talk to us. Everyone, whatever you may be watching, is going to be perhaps one of the most interesting shows that you have seen in this year. Because at some point on the program, we will be also talking to a lawmaker who's gotten a third term in the National Assembly. We'll be looking at the 9th Assembly, the political dynamics. So stay with us. We'll be breaking it down for you on the program. Let's get INEC to give us some latest that is happening as regarding some of the supplementary elections. I have joining me from Abuja, the INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity, Mr. Oluwole Osazi Uzi. Thank you so much, Mr. Osazi Uzi, for your time on the program. Give us some latest that is happening. We understand the Commission released some statement yesterday. Tell us the latest as regarding Bauchi. Will there be supplementary election in Bauchi? What is the latest now?
Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me. Let's correct an impression. We don't have only 6 supplementary elections. Those are 6 governorship elections. There are also several state assembly elections that will be conducted on that same day because some were inconclusive. Don't forget that some of these constituencies are subsumed in the governorship elections as well, but they are separate and distinct, and for which a return has to be made after the supplementary elections. But as for Bauchi, I think we released 2 statements on Friday. One dealt with Rivers State, the suspension of the elections in Rivers, and Rivers as of now does not have a supplementary election. We're just going to conclude the process of collation. But we do have supplementary elections in several other states. Initially, we had penciled Bauchi down as one of the states for which there will be supplementary election. But as I speak now, quite honestly, we are not sure of that. The collation officer could not continue with her role because of the threats to her life and that of her family, and she was very worried about that. So a new collation officer will be appointed, and on Tuesday we'll go back and then correct the error. Error has already been corrected because in one of the things, the council votes was said to be 23,200 and something. But looking through the documents of the investigative committee, that when they've now found that, look, there was an error, patent error in the addition. So instead of 23, there are now 2,300 and something council votes in that area. They will conclude the collation for Regenerate and conclude the collation for Tafawa Balewa. And then if there is sufficient votes and any candidate satisfies the legal requirements, then a return will be made. But if it's found out that there are not sufficient votes and there's need for a supplementary election because the margin of lead between the leading candidate and the total number is such that it will not be up to the total number of registered voters, then there will be a supplementary election in those places where elections were postponed or cancelled for overvoting.
So in Adamawa State, for example, is that a similar situation in Adamawa State? Because we're already hearing political parties speak about this situation in Adamawa. What is the situation in Adamawa?
It's clear. We did not mention Adamawa in our statements. Adamawa going ahead with the supplementary election in Adamawa, and then the one election, state assembly election, was countermanded because of the death of one of the candidates. We will conduct the election on that day. There's absolutely nothing, nothing. It's as you were. It's nothing new on Adamawa. Supplementary election will be held on Saturday, 23rd of March.
What about Kano State?
What about it? There will be supplementary elections in Kano. We've said so before.
Okay, great. So let's move to another, a contending one, that is the issue in Rivers State. You brought out a statement in Rivers State about some of the findings that your commission, the committee you set up. What is the decision of the commission now about Rivers State? You going ahead to conclude by counting or releasing the collation of results, or what has the commission decided on Rivers State?
Well, her statement on the release on Friday was very clear. Really, if you read that statement, you'll find all the answers. But for the benefit of those who've not read the statement, Rivers State was suspended. The whole process was suspended because of certain things which were stated at time of suspension. A fact-finding committee was set up, led by a national commissioner, to go to Rivers State, and they went there and they're back. They submitted their report. And they now found that lots of results of the polling unit results were actually in our custody and safe. Great. they found out that I think in 21 constituencies, declarations have been made. And that's the end of that. The return has been made, and state assembly seats, fine. But the voting was generally peaceful in most polling units, and we're satisfied with what's on ground when the fact-finding committee went there. But there are certain areas where voting could not take place, a few areas. And there are also areas where everything had been concluded, we're going on to collation, and some collated results had been declared, some had not, before the suspension of the exercise. So we'll go back and complete that exercise. And the only point of, I call it disagreement and due deference to the learned senior advocate in the studios there, was when he said, that was the INEC's opinion about soldiers and armed gangs. That wasn't an opinion, that's just a fact. We interviewed several people that were on ground, both our staff and other observers and people that were there. Interviewed them, and the facts were established as far as the committee is concerned. If it comes to litigation, maybe we'll have to re-establish those facts in court. But as far as the committee was concerned, facts were established that armed gangs overrode many places and the soldier was shot. But at the same time, soldiers as well took over the process. They overstepped their constitutional responsibilities and their bounds, and we said, no, that cannot be. So we welcome the statement of the army that is going to look into that, River State and all other states where this occurred. And I'm sure those who establish the facts with our committee will be prepared, if invited, to give evidence as to what they saw and what occurred in their especially collation centers. Collation centers were invaded by armed gangs in some instances, and in other instances by some soldiers. There was no doubt, no dispute about that. No more than men in uniform. Yes, some men were in uniform. So that is what we're going to go back, and we did say in the statement that we'll engage the military hierarchy, especially the army hierarchy, in Abuja, and talk to their people, engage them, and I'm happy they have kept on re-establishing the fact that they have a constitutional role to play. They will stick to professionalism and play that role. So that's part of what the engagement will be about early in the week before going back to conclude that process. And we hope that security will be well established there, and they will perform all their constitutional roles and stick only to those roles and be professional throughout. So that INEC is the body charged by the Constitution to conduct the election, count the votes, collate the votes, and announce the results. No other person or authority has that power, has that responsibility, and none should interfere with the process.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, of course, we'll be talking about more on the 2019 election. The senior advocate of Nigeria, Robert Clark, is still with us. Mr. Osaze-Uzeh is still with us on the program. Don't forget, analysis of the 9th Assembly. Who is going to be the Senate President? Who is going to be the Speaker? Where is it going to come from? Who is gaining the majority and the minority in the 9th Assembly? We'll break it all down for you right here on the program, plus more on the controversies of the 2019 election. Don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chief Robert Clark, and from our Abuja studio, INEC Director of Virtual Education and Publicity, Mr. Oluwole Osaze-Uzeh. Both of them sharing insight on some of the situation regarding to 2019 election. Chief Robert Clark has been telling us legal insight into some of the dynamics of the elections and the outcome. Mr. Oluwole Osaze-Uzeh has been giving us updates on what is happening as regarding some of the supplementary elections and the outcome of the 2019 elections. Let me quickly go back to Abuja with Mr. Osaze-Uzeh. Mr. Uzeh, so when are we expected to get results or the winner being declared in Rivers State? Monday, Tuesday?
Well, I think if you look at that statement, we said, I believe it was on Wednesday, we're going back to collate to continue the process. So wherever we stopped, everything is suspended, we'll be brought back, and then we'll just complete the exercise. And if they finish on that day, then you'll get the results on that very day. I believe they can. But don't forget that there are different levels of collation. For state assembly elections that are going to be collated, the smaller units will be collated, and there's no reason why within hours you cannot get that. It's the same thing, but for the higher levels of collation, the local government and then the state collation will also continue. And certainly we hope that within a reasonable time, the results will be declared.
When are you organizing the special event for the governor of Imo State to give him his certificate of return? Because he did say at the press conference that INEC is perhaps preparing a special presentation of certificate of return to him, since you have not given him on the block across his name on your the list you published on your website, you did say that the results were declared under duress.
Well, it's His Excellency who said that, so perhaps he'll be the best person to answer that question. But as far as we are concerned, we have presented certificates to those who were due to get certificates. For those who could not, for whose name appeared and could not come for one reason or another, we'll give it to them, or if they have not been given. But there is no special ceremony for anybody, and I think we should get that one quite clear. Anybody thinking otherwise will be living in a fool's paradise.
What have you decided in the case of that Imo Senatorial District election? When you say it's declared under duress, are you going to conduct another election, a second ballot, or what?
Well, when a declaration is made under duress, I don't think there'll be a second ballot. The returning officer, the commission will take it. The returning officer, in conjunction with the commission, will take a decision and will alert the public when the time is up for that.
Okay, let me quickly take you up on what the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has said. They came out with a press statement saying that the commission is not allowing it to access, based on the court order they got, to get access to the electoral materials. Why?
That is not true. That's not correct. Now, it's one thing to get an order. And when you get that order, you serve that order, especially when it's ex parte. Don't forget that this was obtained without the knowledge of the commission. And we cannot act on what we read on the pages of newspapers or listening to or watching politics today. There is a process. When you get a court order, especially as an ex parte, you get it enrolled, signed by the judge, certified, and it will now have to be served on the respondent, in this case on INEC. That order, at the time they were making that statement, had not been served. One, it has to be served. Two, you don't serve the order and go back home and sit down and cross your legs. You now have to come to, once the order is studied, we study the order. Yes, we have to, the documents, by the way. I don't know why they went through that route. You don't need a court order to inspect documents in the commission. The Electoral Act is quite clear on that one. So if you had just approached us and said, look, I want to inspect documents, these are the documents I want, list them out, we will cooperate and collaborate and say, fine, we'll do that. But at the time that press statement was released, they had not come to the commission. They had not come to work out modalities. Don't forget, the commission has offices in 774 local governments. Materials are stored in those local governments. They have in 36 states and the FCT, materials are stored there. There are some materials used for the elections in the headquarters. So you have to agree on the modalities for the inspection. Well, first of all, what you want, and then the modalities for the inspection. So if you go to pages of newspaper and say, look, we want all the voting materials used. Wow, that is an incredible thing. You will list the things, and then modalities will be worked out. That they have not done, and I certainly hope that we are very open to it. There's nothing to hide. I hope they will come with their own representatives. We'll sit down with our own representatives and work out modalities for doing that. That's a proper thing to do.
You perhaps have your work cut out for you in the coming days. APC too has gone to court to get access to the materials. Are you treating them in the same manner?
Absolutely. Everybody who participates in election, in fact, even if you do not participate in election and you want access to documents, the law allows you access to those documents. If you decide to go to get a court order, you get a court order, you serve us with a court order, then you come with your representatives, give us a reasonable time, maybe a few hours, 24 hours, study the thing, and then you come, we sit down, and we list everybody, regardless, all 73 political parties that sponsor candidates, if they so choose. I think the law says that if you wish to sustain the petition, then you can do this. If they so choose, they can. They're welcome. Nothing to hide. It's the same documents that we use by everybody.
So, before I allow you go, Mr. Uzi, a lot of the critics of the commission, some of those perhaps who do not understand the reasons why some elections were declared inconclusive, again termed the commission inconclusive INEC. And one thing that caught the attention of some of your critics is the presentation of certificates to the politicians and the National Assembly elected candidates. It was a very rowdy one, a very rowdy one. What happened?
Well, there are lots of people, and I don't know. I don't think we're the right people to ask that again. There are different ways. The law doesn't prescribe the mode for presentation of certificates. All it says is that, look, present certificates to the winners of the election. You witnessed that of the president, straightforward. It was maybe because it was only two people, basically, the president and the vice president, who won the election. In the case of the Senate, 107 qualified, I believe, just 100. And then the House of Representatives, 360 people. But a lot were allowed to bring 5 guests, but they overwhelmed the things, and many people came with so many other guests, and some of those people, it was supposed to be a solemn, straightforward ceremony. You witnessed that of the president, but some people turned it almost like akin to a political rally. When people are celebrating, the solemnity of what you're doing is lost on them, and maybe they'll see you more as a killjoy. The number of times you try to control them, but fortunately, the main thing was done. We satisfied the legal requirements when we gave it to them. They signed to acknowledge that they got the certificates, and that was what's important, I think.
Mr. Osaze-Uzzi, it's always a pleasure to have you clear some of these issues for us. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Director of Voter Education at INEC, Oluwole Osaze-Uzzi, there for us in our Abuja studio.